All right, good morning. Gosh, Monday, May 4th. We're going to get right into it in our virtual green room. Today, we got Pearce Spurlin with Highland Mortgage. Lots going on the financing world, and we're going to get into it here in a second because I've been hearing something this week. I heard it 4 times, and I called Pearce. I was like, I need you to come on so that you can kind of give me some insight on where this might be coming from and just kind of talk us through it, okay? So stand by for that. It's going to be a great conversation. But let's get right into the numbers. We've been busy this week, so I want to see if these numbers translate into it. And here we go. So new listings 45. Guys, that's becoming on par. And you know me, I like it. If you've been watching us for any amount of time, anything below 50, especially not in the 60s and 70s on the new listings, very consistent and very manageable as long as we're writing the contracts. New contracts, 43. Listen. Again, anybody that's been watching us for any amount of time, we almost hit par for par in season with new listings and pending contracts. We felt that. Always base it on the phone, constantly on the phone this weekend with showings. It's out there. The buyers are coming out to play. And this is that sweet spot time of year I told you guys in between Easter and the start of summer where people come down. They know they can actually get in properties to take a look at them. I received a backup offer on something this weekend. So it's moving. I'm not surprised to see these numbers. At the same time, I love it. Closed properties 33, right on par. Love it, right? That's where we want to be. Let's look at price changes, 68. So that's what we were doing last spring, and that's where the consistency came from, okay? New listings leveled off. New contracts were on the uptick. Closings are getting across the finish line, and then the sellers are still moving prices to find that target, which I still find to be a necessity. Sometimes you move the price and it just doesn't nail it. Sometimes you move it again and it just hits this sweet spot where everybody's sitting, right? You're just throwing bait out in the water and it's working. I can tell you from experience on my listings and from my buyer side, I've had things just show up for them and they got renewed interest, right? So listen, those are great numbers. Let's get right into it with Pearce. He's over here hanging out. Pearce, good morning.
Good morning, Casey. How are you?
You just heard the numbers. Does that kind of make sense with what you're seeing out there on your end?
It does. I think that people are out there looking at houses right now, especially here in the 30A area. Yeah. And I think with with all the just rental properties and with the weather and everything else, it's so nice down here right now.
Yeah,
it's absolutely perfect. It really
is.
It's
funny. Listen, you've been in the sales world for a long time, but man, weather matters. Like,
100%.
It's just when it's 75 and not a cloud in the sky and the water looks like it does and people are here, man, it matters.
I heard from multiple people that yesterday was the best beach day they've had in like a year. And it was like 70, sunny with no humidity. Oh. It was absolutely perfect.
I didn't get to partake, but that sounds amazing. Right. Listen, thank you for coming on as always. And this is twofold. One, just wanted you to address something that I heard repeatedly last week. So when I hear things over and over again, I take it from 4 people and I multiply it by like 100. Like if 4 people are telling it to me, I know more people are talking. But also like to catch up with you as we go into summer to kind of talk about maybe some expectations. But I want to address the thing that I hear on both the buy side and from other buyers and then from my buyers. A lot of people seemingly are still looking at this Fed chair move that's coming up. Okay, it's kind of this pinnacle point. And we're close. I'll let you remind me when that is if you even know it off the top of your head. But it's close enough that people have been staring at it for some time. And I feel like there's this, let's let that happen and see what the reaction is. But I guess my question for you is that fair strategy? Should we be, from what you can tell on your side, should we be really, if I had to ask you what you expect out of that, like what would your response be in your world?
In my opinion, I don't think the Fed chair matters when it comes to purchasing or selling a house. I think the bigger issues, or not even the issues, like we've talked, interest rates are still good. They really are. There's so many different factors that go into the interest rate, what the interest rates are. But like right now, I think with Warsh, what everybody's trying to, I think what the media, I would not listen to the media. Let's put it that way. And I think, unfortunately, the media is trying to make it a bigger deal than it really is. A lot of people didn't like Jay Powell. I mean, they didn't think that he handled everything well. So I think personally, from buying and selling houses, I don't think the Fed chairman is going to matter as much as what some people think. I mean, I just read an article today in Housing Wire that said that we're actually coming out of the housing quote unquote recession, that all the numbers now really look good for the housing market. Like inventory's up, which is, we need, good inventory, more contracts, like you just said, rates are still good. Inflation's a little high because of the oil, but once the Iran, conflict gets worked out, then I think, gas prices will obviously go back down and inflation will ease off a little bit. But I don't think the Warsh nomination, I think, is an issue. Now, there could be an issue if he doesn't get, in and doesn't get nominated. That could be an issue.
Right.
But that would not be a reason, in my opinion, to buy or sell a house.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's caught up in what's a fundamental practice of how mortgages rise and fall versus just perception of a new sheriff in town, kind of meant, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
like, I feel like the marketplace, because when I try to ask people what they think that's going to mean, I don't think people really know. I think there's some hope, but I feel like I too am not expecting that the rates are just going to slash and that's going to be like this big breaking point. And I think, and you tell me with the people you're working with, I mean, the people that are coming forward right now, like you said, have been very happy with the rates that they're getting right now versus when they kind of started their search. And that's why people are moving forward. Is that what you feel as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, from an interest rate perspective, I think that, it matters on the amount of money down. It matters on your credit score. It matters on what type of property you're buying. It matters, that matters more than who the Fed chair or whatever is going to be. Now, if you think that Warsh is going to come in and rates are going to go down to 5%, that is not going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's just not. I think me and you have talked about this over the, couple of years. The rates to go to 5.5 has only happened twice in like the last 50 years. If it wasn't a pandemic or a war. Now we are at war, but there's no reason, if you watch CNBC last week, they'll tell you that they're not cutting rates again, probably this year. If anything, they may raise rates again, which again, from a mortgage perspective, I mean, if you're buying a house, an eighth or a quarter here or there is not a reason to wait to buy a house.
Yeah.
Because what's going to end up happening is when rates go down, there's going to be more people out there buying houses.
Yeah.
And in our area, we know that cash is very prevalent. And if anybody listening on this call who actually has got to get a loan, I would highly recommend being ready to pull the trigger, because 40%, probably 35 to 40% is cash. Yeah. And you're not, and that's going to, that's who your competitors are.
Yeah. Pre-approvals matter. Just kind of being lined up, especially with somebody in the marketplace. And even better when they know, the other agents kind of have a sense of who the banker is so that they can relay that to.
Well, I would even recommend getting pre-approved. So what we allow at Highland is we allow you to put in an application and give all your documentation, and it'll be underwritten by an underwriter.
Okay.
Without the property, and it doesn't cost anything. So you can do it, and then you can go and make an all cash offer and not have to worry about the financing. And so it will help. It will speed things up so much faster instead of trying to buy a house, get approved, do all that, at the same time.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to buy a house in the next 6 months, go ahead and get it pre-approved.
Yeah.
with an underwriter, not pre-qualified. There's a big difference between the two.
Yeah, we just did one where we did a cash offer, but we did an appraisal contingency because they just wanted to make sure based on the amount that they were going to be putting down, right? And then but look, my point is that's still super solid to a seller, even if you need to add the appraisal, because it's just finding out what the property's worth. But to your point, it depends on how much you're putting down. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of heavy down payments out there in the marketplace too, which are huge factors, which even eliminate really the appraisal side of it. So, I mean, it's just kind of, like I said, it's kind of talking to you guys and getting your ducks in a row on because once you do that, we can craft the strongest offer we can.
Oh yeah. And I think that, if it gets into a competitive situation, the one without the finance contingency is going to win every time.
Yeah. I mean, I think you nailed it, but like the waiting around, let's say that the Fed chair did come in and do something just outrageous on rates, which is not going to happen. But my gosh, it would be an absolute chaotic race towards some of these listings with buyers. It's almost careful what you wish for out there. Those are all hypothetical things, but I guess the point and why I want to bring you on, in addition to the reasons we always like to talk to you, is that we're close enough to this Fed chair thing. And I'm convicted on thinking that there are some people still sitting out there waiting on that to happen before they proceed. Like they don't want to miss something or looking for permission from that situation to do something.
Yeah. I mean, from what we hear and read and everything else is that the biggest issue with Warsh from a Fed chair standpoint is keeping the Federal Reserve not, it's got to be independent. I mean, there's no other way. I mean, and I think that that's the scariest part that everybody's worried about, that it's not, that the Fed is not going to be independent. Yeah. So the investors in the mortgage market and the bond market's not going to really, they're the ones who dictate mortgage rates, not the Fed chair. Banks, and if inflation continues to go up with gas prices going up, then that's not, rates aren't going down.
Yeah. Let me ask you this while I got you. Like, what's got you excited out there? Any specific product that you're working with that's got you, that your buyers are liking, that's working well right now in the marketplace we need to be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, I really like our investor loans are really good right now because, there's a lot of products out there. You have your debt service loans, which is, a non-QM specialty product, but you also have these investor loans. These rates are really good. I mean, they are. I mean, they're still in the sixes on a jumbo, and they're in the sixes on a conforming investor loan with 20% down, 25% down. Yeah. So I'm real excited about that. We also, you get to, with these investor loans, and we've talked about this before, like we get to use rental projections against the payment for people to qualify. So with what we do, a lot of times people can qualify for more house because we get to use those rental projections on the appraisal to offset the mortgage payment. And so that really helps out with qualifying. I think that, with the big, beautiful bill and cost segregation, and, we were in that meeting, last week, and they talked about that rentals are going up from last year.
Yes.
And they project them to go up from 2027. So if rentals are going up, there's more people out there looking for houses. I think once the Iran thing is worked out, I mean, I think it's going to be, blowing and going. I mean, I think it's going to be crazy because if we get rid of the property taxes in November from DeSantis with, that doesn't really do anything with second or investment properties, but Florida's going to be the place to live. And if we got rid of property taxes.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned all that because it's like this is a big, between now and November, between everything that you're talking about, between what's going on in Iran, between all the new beach ordinance stuff that's going to be worked out with the county this summer. Like it's a growth time. And I agree with you. I've got to bring on a rental company because when we're going through there and these owners are supplying me right now with the rates that they've got on the books for the summer, man, it looks fantastic. And they're booked out a little more in advance than they were last year. So that's there. And we see the people. Like it feels good. That's why I like to bring you this stuff and bring you what I'm hearing out there, because there's the perception world, there's the TV world. And then the reason I do the hot sheet every week is like, hey, there's also, I mean, we almost hit the amount of contracts on the new listings this week. We haven't done that. I have to go back. It's been 6-8 months probably since we got this close on that kind of action. And that's not the Pierce and Casey saying how we feel. Those are just raw numbers. Here's the numbers. Here's what's happening out there. And so I just want everybody to kind of, to your point, get prepared and just know their options, know what they're looking for, get as ready as possible. So appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. And I think, with the tax incentives and the cost segregation and rental incomes going up, I mean, it's all positive information, and it bodes well for people that want to get into the real estate game of either investing or second home or just buying houses, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing more and more people come down here, that is living here full time.
Yeah.
Than in a long time.
Yeah. Totally agree. No, I mean, it's good. Pierce, I appreciate you, man. I just want to grab you. I like to, we need to do this going into the summer, but the same thing when I'm hearing that, I just like to bring these things to you if it's just hitting me over the head with a hammer. And maybe we get to be one of those people bragging about how good the beach is coming up, or even the golf course, man. I got to check one of those boxes this week. It's amazing out there.
You got to go in our industry, you marry the house and you date the rate. So don't worry about it. You can always refinance. It's always a good time. So,
all right, everybody, call me here. I know some of you have reached out to you, but if you need his contact, we'll post it here. But appreciate you as always.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, everybody, have a great week. See ya.